But even more primary than race or the cultural narrative of a civilization, Fink Industries of Colombia serves as the industrial backbone to the city. In this scene, there is a auction taking place. This is such a weird. You may want to go back and play this part of the game because this is such a surreal part of the game. It's just so it's saying so much. In this scene, there's an auction taking place where the job goes to the bidder with the lowest number of minutes. So whoever can do the job in the least amount of time wins the bid. It's very strange. Presumably the worker does not get paid the full value for the work, or maybe they don't get paid at all if they can't finish the work within the time that they bid on it for. This oppressive human stock market that we see here is just the sort of thing which leads to populist uprisings in the first place. Now, Jeremiah Fink represents the early, he's like this archetype of the early 20th century industrialist who his most sacred symbol is the clock. If you go into the Jeremiah Fink, the Fink Industries level in Bioshock Infinite, clocks are absolutely just everywhere. Everywhere. In the world of the industrialist, like Jeremiah Fink, time is the most fundamentally important unit of measure and control, even more so than money, and I'll explain why. The Fink Industries level in Bioshock is it's just, go look around there and it's nuts. It's just, the guy's obsessed with clocks. You think, like, what's going on with this guy? This obsession with time is absolutely everywhere on that level, which is an unfortunate legacy which we have inherited today. So this Jeremiah Fink level and all the clocks is actually, it's a very clever commentary on the world in which we live today and the legacy we've inherited from these industrialists at the turn of the century in the early 1900s in America during the height of the Industrial Revolution. So time has become the master and oppressor of many and is recognized as the most valuable commodity among them all, even more than money, to the wealthy elite anyway. They understand this. This is because time is finite. You only have a certain amount of time, and once your time's up, that's it, right? But money is not finite, because think about it. You can print money today. You can just make money. Money can be printed out of thin air. There's theoretically infinite amounts of money, but there's only a finite amount of time. And the wealthy industrialist understands this. Now think about that for a minute. You only have so much time, but you can always get more money, right? You can always learn and figure out ways to get more money. You can't figure out ways to get more time unless, of course, you figure out how to build a time machine, or if you're friends with Rosalind and Robert Ludus, maybe. Now, the phrase time is money couldn't be more misleading in this day and age. Time is many magnitudes more valuable than money. The wealthy industrialist understands this. A true measure of wealth is not money, but it's the time you have. One can study, and even saying the time you have, you don't really know. You can have a reasonable expectation that you have time, or you can live a sort of life where you have a lot of time available, but then again, you have to do something with that time, obviously. Now, one can study and learn new ways to make money, but you'll never be able to figure out how to give yourself more time than you already have. Whatever you have with time, that's a fixed amount. That's finite. But money, you can do something about that to make more money. Now, going even further, you know how much money you have, and you can always make more money. You know how much you have. You don't know how much time you have. So time is way more precious. But you don't know, if you don't know how much time you have, and since time is obviously more precious and scarce than money, they really aren't equivalent at all. So this idea of time is money is just nonsense. Most people value their time. And if you think about this, most people do value their time to do this or that activity far more than just having money in the first place, right? So time is really far more valuable to most people. Now, this is something that the wealthy industrialists understood quite well. And one of the greatest satirical takes into the world of the industrialist comes from the Coen brothers movie, The Hudsucker Proxy, which is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. It's great. It's hilarious. The central theme of the film revolves around time and the industrialist executive's love affair with the all-powerful clock. If you enjoy dark comedies and Tim Robbins, you should definitely watch this film. In fact, the entire world, there's a scene where this giant clock that's on the facade of a skyscraper in New York City essentially stops time when the cogs of the gears are jammed up and the clock stops, the whole world stops. I mean, that's saying something. That's how important time is, and that's where this whole influence of Jeremiah Fink and the idea of why he has why everything's all about the clock and all about time is because I think a great influence of Jeremiah Fink and everything would probably, I would guess, come from the Hudsucker Proxy and this idea that they put out in this movie that time is like the most valuable thing ever. The wealthy industrialist uses the ignorance of the value of time against the working class. The essential idea is that the wealthy industrialist is always looking for ways to make his money work for him or make money while he sleeps instead of working for money like the working class are habituated in thinking about time and its relationship to money. So instead of, you have to use your time you have to, be somewhere at a job to make money using your valuable time, the wealthy industrialist thinks in terms of, well, I want to set myself up so I'm making money and not having to be a slave to the clock and having to be somewhere at a certain time. I just want to go wherever I want to go and be making money at the same time, right? So that's kind of the distinction between the wealthy industrialist of the Hudsucker Proxy and just the common worker who's just a slave to the clock. So that's the idea with Jeremiah Fink in Bioshock Infinite as well. Now, of course, we have to now talk about Songbird, which is, in my mind and a lot of other people's, it's really an homage to Big Daddy, the Big Daddy of the original Bioshock. The Songbird, however, serves not only as Elizabeth's guardian, but it is also like her prison warden in a sense, her captor. In other words, the Songbird represents both the freedom associated with what you would associate a bird with, of course, or at least Elizabeth's desire to leave Colombia and travel to Paris, for example. And yet at the very same time, the Songbird is very much Elizabeth's jailer. Just like the first Bioshock game, where the underlying message of control being an illusion, in Bioshock Infinite, the very same undercurrent of the illusion of choice is very much at play with the Songbird as well.